What's up, gamers? Welcome to Battle Mallet Podcast, episode 78, Hex Ed, Beastgrabbaz, and Edge of the Knife review. For anyone that isn't familiar, the Battle Mallet Podcast is the journey of three busy gamers playing games that they love, balancing life with those games, and making their way to the Nova Open Convention every year. My name is Jerod Johnson, and tonight I am joined by Jason Tabled Noob Murray.
How do you organize a space party?
I don't know. How do you organize a space party?
You plan it.
Nice. Nailed it. So in tonight's episode, we are going to be reviewing the up for pre-order Beastgrabbaz and Borgit's Beastgrabbaz and the Edge of the Knife Rivals deck. So coming out the gate with a giant thank you to Games Workshop for sending us the advanced copy for review. Yeah, so we're going to go through our normal thing. We'll cover the warband, talk about it in some light detail. And then when we get to the deck review, we will do what we did last time and what we're planning to do going forward, in that we will pick out the top cards that you want to see early if you're playing it in a Rivals format, and then we will flesh out half of a deck. So we will add some cards. Words are so good tonight.
Wait, so like we add the cards together?
Yeah, we're
get half a deck worth of Nemesis format? Okay,
that's right.
good.
It's exact 6 objectives, 5 ploys, and 5 upgrades. Wow, that was tough.
It was,
Yeah. I feel like a sham, and I need to rig this episode together better.
Sham.
Anyway. So I guess before we get into the review, we can probably talk about what we've been up to a little bit since the last time we recorded. So I'll kick things off. Played a little bit of Underworlds. Made it out to one of the regularly unscheduled meetups, and got to play with Andy and Brian. I got shellacked. I'm trying to figure out Yothari. I just love that warband so much, and I haven't figured out how to play them to win yet. So Iron Souls Condemners took it to me. And then I watched Iron Souls Condemners take down Drom. So turns out when you're 3 smash, 3 damage, it's pretty good. 3 hammers, 3 damage. That's, man, V1 is just never going to go away.
Smash is better.
I mean, yeah, agreed. But here we are. This is the world that we live in now, Jason. So
it is. It is.
Outside of that, work has been crazy. Oh yeah, and then Jason and I got together this week to play some games. We played some Underworlds, and I lost with Jaws of Itzel to Hexbane.
That's right. Hexbane is back. Not really, but
back. Well, he might be.
Might be after tonight, but
yeah. And then we played Dice Throne, and that was fun, and has me excited for the pending X-Men Dice Throne whenever that comes. So
any day now.
Kickstarter. Any day now. Fulfillment started January 20th in the U.S., according to the emails. So we'll get all that soon.
I am definitely excited for that Dice Throne, that version. Playing it the other night, like you played the Pyromancer and I played the Monk, and it's such the same mechanic. There's really not anything different between you and me, but the way that it is all framed and the way that the dice play out, it's so thematic, and I can't wait to have that setting in more Marvel characters, because the other Marvel characters are great. So I'm
looking forward to it. So other than that, it's been a lot of work and family stuff. So Jason?
Yeah, same. So made it out to a normally scheduled meetup. Got to do some teaching games there, which was fun. To one returning player, one new player, both picked it up very quickly. That was a lot of fun that night. And then, the game with you, Hexbane is fun. I'm just for version 2, just like the 2 wound fighters just melt. I've played a couple warbands now. So I'm excited to get into the main topic today and talk about a deck that may support some 2 wound fighters. But nonetheless, the games are fun. A lot of positioning last night between Itzels and Hexbanes. And I actually got some defense dice to work for once, so that felt really good.
It's always nice.
It is. That deck that I play does not have a high glory ceiling. I need to kill things, and I killed some things and survived enough.
Yeah.
But the movement shenanigans there, which I've realized that the current state of version 2, or the new Underworlds, is a lot of beefy fighters, a little more aggro, not necessarily all the way aggro with the FAQ, but I like the positioning part of the game. Like I don't mind the four fighters, the 3 fighters, but the positioning is my favorite part. So
It has always been your favorite part of the game.
it is the puzzle.
Yeah.
Other than that, started to play a little bit of Loricana again with Emma, because we were on the back of the Disney trip, and that was the big thing
Nice.
for us and the family, was to go to Disney and have a fantastic week there. I forgot how much I love Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. It is by far the highlight of all of those parks. Kids got into some Disney pin trading, so just what they need, another hobby. Dad is trying to not get his obsessive compulsive completionist into that, but they're having fun with it, so that's all that really matters. And then tomorrow, I shouldn't say tomorrow, a couple days here, I start a new position at work, so looking forward to that craziness as well. So
yeah, that's going to be intense. I'm excited for you though. On the outside of regularly gaming front, Kyle and Autumn got some board games for Christmas from their grandparents that we finally managed to find the time to break out. One is called, I think it's like the Monkey's Palace. It's like a Lego game. And you have to rebuild the palace, and you score points by building taller than your opponents and stuff, but you're all building one building.
that's cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The kids have taken to it. And then there's a Disney game, and now, of course, that I say it out loud, I've completely forgotten what it's called. But there's 4 Disney characters. It's something about the light repelling the darkness. It's a cooperative game, so we played it. It's got Moana, Violet from The Incredibles, Maid Marian from Robin Hood, and it's got Belle from Beauty and the Beast. But you kind of build a board, and then you have to repel shadow creatures. They all have attacks and moves and stuff. It was a lot of fun, and it actually there's some depth to it too that I think will keep it interesting. Anyway, we don't have to dwell on it, but just wanted to bring them up. Jason is scouring the internet.
I'm interested because I saw that one. I know exactly. I seen the cover.
You're on Space Marine Voice, by the way.
Oh, am I? Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I was at GameStop the other day looking at video games, and I saw this game, and I want to
procure it. I cannot remember what the name of it is, though. I can picture the cover, but anyway, yeah. Because I thought you were going to say Villainous, because that's the other Disney Ravensburger one. But
it is Chronicles of Light, Darkness Falls.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, so you liked that? It was good for them.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. It's nice because it's cooperative. So you're working together to defeat the darkness. You're not fighting against each other, and it's always fun to have a cooperative game in the household, so that when your 2 eldest children are playing, they're not at each other's throats the whole time.
I want to win.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think that's it for the intro. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about Senor Borgit and his Beastgrabbaz.
And we're back to go over Borgit's Beastgrabbaz. This is an interesting one. I was not expecting this when the box came across. It is a 5-fighter warband that is Git-centric. But there's, I don't know, for some reason they just kind of speak to me in the way that all the fighters and the fighter card come together. But 5 fighters, all but the big Uglug start off on 2 defense dice. So the little Gribblies are 2 dodge, and the leader himself's on 2 shields. So I like that already.
It's so good.
It is good.
It's really good.
And they have some.
I was going to say they need it.
They do.
So the fact that you got 2 2-wound fighters and 2 3-wound fighters, like the defense characteristics, I think are going to be necessary.
Yeah, and that ties into their inspire mechanic. So they inspire if they delve, right? So a fighter most likely is going to be staggered when they inspire. So giving that reroll, but then getting the cover benefit and being on 2 dice means that they may survive with 2 wounds. Interesting enough, they all have a glory characteristic, right? So they're all giving up a bounty. 3 of them are giving up 1. The leader is giving up 2. And then the Mollog wannabe and Uglug is giving up 2 as well. And he's a 5-wound fighter.
Yeah.
Which is really good. They also gain 1 hex when they all inspire. So they all start out at 3 move, go to 4 when they inspire. And the models are just so characterful. Like they have so much character in there. I love the 2 Rig and Sham that have like skin over the top of them. From a
the lore is great. They keep Uglug around because Rig and Sham pretend to be his pet squig.
Oh.
Like it's literally what they're doing. It's the only way they can keep Uglug around.
But even Uglug's got like a wolf pelt on him or something, right? So
yeah.
Interesting like paint job on them though, like especially Uglug, like with his eyes kind of looking like they're below the nose because they're a different color. But
yeah, this is that feature, that facial structure was like the talk of the online community when it first got launched, and I am convinced, we haven't seen yet as of recording what Trace has done with them. I'm convinced that if you paint it so that the skin around the eyes is the same color as everything else, it's going to look less weird. Because if you look at all of the other Troggoths, like the nose is like so far forward and the eyes are like below the nose. It's just this one, because he's so compact, I think it just exaggerates that feature. But we'll see. I could be completely wrong, and maybe the sculpt is not as cool as I think it is.
I still think it's gonna be cool. Another thing to know about him too is when he inspires on his inspired standard weapon, which is range 2 hammers for 2 damage. He has 2 weapon abilities. He has Cleave and Grievous. So that's pretty cool that you get to pick, and he has a little bit of utility once he is inspired.
It's nice. Yeah.
Anything else standing out from their fighter cards?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're not crazy accurate raw stats uninspired. 2 of the fighters are on 2 swords, uninspired. They're not doing great damage. So a lot of 1 damage fighters, all the little ones are 1 damage, until they inspire. But we've got, a grapple on Snags, who's got like his grabbing hook, which is cool. So he can pull people around. And then Dreg, the archer, has stagger, which I think is pretty potent. It's a ranged attack. You can stagger somebody and then send in Uglug to do some work.
Well, they all have weapon abilities, which is really cool, right? Like, even though the names of weapons are not there, like adding those weapon abilities make them very full of character. I like it. And then you mentioned that their stats may not be their dice statistics. Oh my goodness, words are great for us today.
You're killing it.
Their dice are not characteristics may not be as high when they're not inspired, but on their War Scroll card, they have the Trophy Hunters, where at the start of your first action step in the first battle round, you pick an enemy fighter with a health characteristic of 3 or more to be the trophy. Melee attacks that target the trophy have +1 attack dice. So there's a little bit built in there. You can kind of pick on a target and get a bump at the beginning of the game before you're inspired. Again, like we talked about, after a friendly fighter delves, inspire that fighter. So a real pretty easy inspire condition, with just the downside of that you're probably taking that stagger token. By probably, you are.
Yes. Yeah.
But then there's some other neat little tricks in here. Debate: immediately after a friendly fighter minion is slain, push your leader a number of hexes equal to the health characteristic of the slain minion. That push must end adjacent to an enemy fighter. So some free movement in there for your leader after one of your 3 minions goes. And then they have 3 single-use abilities on their card, which is nice. You have one where you can either use it immediately after Uglug or Borgit successful attack. Until the end of the battle round, the target of the attack is the Muggins.
And I had to look this up. So a Muggins is somebody that is a fool, somebody considered to be a fool, or somebody that is gullible.
Gullible.
So they have fallen for the Git's tricks.
So, and then the friendly minions have Crit Grievous when targeting that fighter. And you can only use that once per game. But for the whole battle round, you get free Crit Grievous. Yeah. And if it's the same one that you set up the trophy on, that's cool little synergy there.
I like it.
Then there is one when Uglug used any core ability in that step, you can push friendly minions up to 3 hexes, and then they have to be adjacent to Uglug after that. And that's 3 fighters that you can push 3 hexes.
Yeah, that's real good.
A lot.
Yeah.
Basically giving them supports at some point, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then Stab 'em Good. This is use it immediately after an action step if a friendly minion used any core ability until the end of the action step. The first time after an enemy fighter is pushed, placed, or enters any hex adjacent to a friendly minion, inflict 1 damage on that fighter.
Nice.
It's like they're stepping in lava.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I think there's a lot of character here. You said it about the miniatures. So like there's snotlings like all over these things, which is just really funny to see. Because, normally it's the Gits that are the bait in a Gloom Spike Gits army. But no, like they've got even smaller Gits that they're using. I'm excited to see them. I think they have a really natural rivals pairing in Pillage and Plunder. And Pillage and Plunder is a pretty good deck in and of itself. There's extra accuracy. There's extra defense. You got Glory Seeker in there. Like, yeah, I think it's a really fun rivals pairing. I'll be curious to see how long those 2 defense dice allow them to stick around.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pillage and Plunder is the natural pairing for them. And then the deck that we'll talk about a little bit later, Edge of the Knife, adds a lot for them too, given the fact that most of them are 2 wounds, or a couple of them are 2 wounds. But I like the flex style. So here we have the good defense characteristic. You get on some treasure tokens, flip them into feature tokens or cover hexes, get that bonus, try to stay around, really leverage the dice. And it's not just a straightforward move mechanic or a move ability that they get, but there is still enough pushing and pulling here. Yeah. And then you got the big guy that's just like bop, 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 bop.
Yep. Yeah, and has a good chance to stick around because he's easy to inspire, right? I think, one of my least favorite things about the Jaws of Itzel is like trying to get Crowjacks inspired. I have to damage somebody in my opponent's power step or during their turn, which means I need them to fail a melee attack and roll a shield to get him to that 2 shield defense. And like Uglug can just walk onto a feature token and flip it. And now he's on 2 defense dice, blocking on shields, and now surrounded because he's in a cover hex.
Yeah, the other nice design element here too is the adding of Grievous right to his inspired side, and not just taking it to 3. Because you look at a big troll, that fighter looks like he should be doing 3 damage, but by adding the Grievous, he's kind of capped at 3 damage.
Right.
Like, we're not getting him up to 4. So I really like that lever to be pulled with this warband. And again, I think their play style is flex. So that's why they really, really speak to me.
Yeah. It's nice. Any closing remarks? What are you going to do if you see him across the table?
I mean, when I see him across the table, I'm going to keep away from Uglug and just try to pick off the 2 glory or the 2 wound fighters first. Like build my glory so I can go in and deal with the harder to hit fighters. It would be a fantastic warband to have either ensnare or cleave against.
Yeah.
I think that those 2 weapon upgrades will really shine against this warband, especially once they're trying to inspire and getting those stagger tokens. Those weapon abilities will really, really shine through against them. And be careful of the mob, right? So if you do go into Uglug, they're probably going to pull all their fighters in and really get some good accuracy. So I would try to let him charge me and not me charge him and get stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems good. Cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what Trace has done with them when they get them painted. Once we post all those. And then excited for you to pilot them. I think it's been good.
Borat's Bonanza's coming at you.
Nailed it. All right. Well, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about the Edge of the Knife Rivals deck. And we are back, and we are ready to do our Rivals review of the Edge of the Knife Rivals deck. So, as always, just want to intro how this is going to go down. The first half of the review is going to be a Rivals format review. We're going to talk about the 3 cards, the 3 objectives, the 3 ploys, and the 3 upgrades that we think that you want to see early in your game. So these are the ones that you are fishing for. If you are going to redraw cards, we feel they're the ones that give you the most setup for success for future turns. And then once we get through that, we're going to expand the card pool to be half of a Nemesis deck. So there will be 6 total objectives, 5 total ploys, and 5 total upgrades to give you half of a Nemesis deck. And then you can go and pick another Nemesis pairing and put them together and hopefully have a legal Nemesis deck. I don't think that we did the count on surges and end phases, so double check our math on that one before you just bust this out.
We're 3 and
anyway,
3.
Are we? Did we?
Yeah.
Not even on purpose? Nice.
Not even on purpose.
Nice. We're so good. All right. So you were reading the flavor text, and it sounded really juicy. So we're going to give this a shot. So, I don't have my voice changer on. It's not going to hit as hard. I'm going to go for it. There it is.
In the corpse of the Emberguard, glory and honor bow to the need for victory. Tapestries and sagas may depict battle as a thing won by heroes shining with divine light, but in an environment as forsaken as this, it is often the most seemingly insignificant who tip the balance. A knife in the back here, a throttling grip from the darkness there, and a glorious reversal of fortune are never merely rife in the Emberguard, but the order of the day. For those apparently niche beings who can survive the confrontation of combat, skill and experience are the rewards. They become as tempted Tempted, see all the time. Tempted by the rewards. They become as tempered as any towering brute, despite lending them a strength to be feared.
Nice.
Tempted every time.
Tempted. You are tempted to say the wrong word every time. So this Rivals deck has a plot card, and it says, while using this Rivals deck, fighters with a health characteristic of 2 or less and or 2 or more damage tokens are tempered.
I'm going to say it every time.
You are, and it's okay. And I love you for it. So this is all fighters. It's not just friendly fighters. Any fighter with a health characteristic of 2 or less and or 2 or more damage tokens are tempered. Yep. All right. So this will come into play later. It kind of speaks as to why Jason thinks Hexbane might be coming back and why Borgit's Beastgrabbaz do well. Or we think they'll do well with this. So let's talk about objectives. Objectives that you want to see early in the game. I'm going to take the first one, and this is Aggressive Defender. Score this immediately after a friendly fighter's attack action if the attacker is holding a treasure token. So it doesn't have to be successful, just has to be an attack action. So, and you've got range 2 fighters, a range 3 fighter in this warband. So good opportunities for getting this one out early. And getting that glory train rolling. So what do we want next, Jason?
I really like risky positions. Position.
You do like risky positions.
Score this in an end phase if a tempered friendly fighter is in enemy territory. So if you're playing a low wound warband, your 4th activation, hopefully it's the last activation of the round, run them across and score a single glory. Or if you send one of your beefier people and they take a hit, turn 1, they may still most likely survive. So
I like it. And then the last one that we liked early was Sneak into Position. Score this immediately after an opponent's action step if 2 or more tempered friendly fighters are adjacent to the same enemy fighter. So a little trickier because it has to be after an opponent's action step. But I think with supports and some of the other upgrades and opportunities that you have in the game and your warband pairing, I think this is one that can be fairly reliable.
Yeah, and a lot of the larger warbands that we think will pair nicely with this deck have move shenanigans or some sort of some efficiency there. So getting people close, hopefully that helps. And there may be a ploy that could help us too. So
there could be. All right. So speaking of ploys.
No, the next 3, bud. So after Rivals. After Rivals.
I figured we would. Okay. All right. My bad.
We've done it this way every time.
You're right. Let's do it. I'm sorry. I'll stay calm before the storm.
Okay.
Which is the next objective that we think that you want to add if you're going to flesh this out into a Nemesis pairing. This is in an end phase if there are any damaged fighters and those fighters are not adjacent. So as long as anybody is damaged and no damaged fighters are adjacent, you get 2 glory. And so it hits that coveted 2 glory end phase spot. And it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. Pretty easy to set up. And this deck wants you to deal with positioning, so it's going to be top of mind anyway.
Exactly. That 2 glory, you're going to need something bigger than just single scores. For the next one, we're going to go back to a Surge, and it's Immovable. Score this immediately after an opponent's action step if a friendly fighter was the target of an attack in that action step while they were tempered and the target was not slain. So the 2 conditions here, one being tempered and not slain, but you're probably going to be attacked anyway. And in order to win the game, you're going to need one of those attacks to fail.
Yep.
Wouldn't mind scoring a glory off of it.
Yeah. And nothing like that. Precious little feels better in Warhammer Underworlds than scoring glory when your opponent fails to do what they were trying to do. And then the last one that we're looking at is Usurper, and this is a little greedy, but there's nothing wrong with a greedy card. I've seen Annihilation scored twice in the past 3 games of Underworlds that I have seen played. So score this in an end phase if an enemy leader was slain by a tempered friendly fighter this battle round, and it's for 2 glory. And so that's why we picked it. If it was 1 glory, I don't think it would make the cut, but it has that nice 2 glory ceiling. And it's not like any other cards in the pool, so it's unique. It's not eating up space from another deck. So
yeah, I like it because you don't have to survive, right? You can missile in, kill the leader as long as you have the card in your hand.
Yep.
And they are tempered. Got it.
Works
now,
out well.
Sir. Sir.
Now we can do ploys.
You can.
So we can. All right. Let's start with I'll take advantage
start
of this
with the 3 that you want to see early.
Oh my gosh, we're so good at this. So good.
We're going to go over the 3 you want to see early in your rival's deck.
All right. The first one we want to see is Opportunity Strikes. Play this immediately after you pick a weapon as part of an attack for a tempered friendly fighter. That weapon has +1 attack dice for that attack. Straightforward, +1 attack dice, extra accuracy. Get that damage on. Get the ball rolling.
Kapow!
Kapow!
I'm going to go really far out here and select something that we've never talked about before. Because the next card I want to see is Sidestep, and we have yet another deck that has Sidestep in it. Pick a friendly fighter, push that fighter 1 hex. But the reason that I think it's important, that we think it's important, is because of the positioning things that we picked in our objective starting hand. And if your warband does not come innately with those characteristics to move fighters around, you're going to need that to set something up.
Agreed. Yep. And then the last ploy that we think that you want to see early to help fuel your rival's game is Power from Death. Play this immediately after a friendly fighter with a bounty of 1 or more is slain by an enemy fighter, if that fighter was tempered before inflicting the damage that would slay them. Draw up to 3 power cards.
Yeah, and I never thought with the focus ability that we'd be selecting something that would allow us to draw more power cards, but 3 is really good.
It's real good. And you're going to die because you're tempered.
Yeah, it's...
So...
And getting it early can really swing that. You can get the tools that you need to kind of get back from losing that fighter. Even though it is 3, you're trading 1 for 3, so it's really a 2-card swing. But I really like that. I did not envision us picking a card that would help us draw.
Yeah. But I mean, it's 10% of your power.
Well, for you, I like to play 22 cards, so.
Fair. Whatever. It's 1/11th then, sir.
It's still good.
It is still good.
So moving into Nemesis kind of building, the next 2 cards that we've picked, the first would be Death Throes. Pick a tempered friendly fighter, and the next action step, attacks that target this fighter have -2 attack dice. And again, going back to our objectives, I really think there's going to need to at least be 1 attack that you survive. This could really like derail a round for someone. Taking two attack dice away on the 4th activation, maybe after they tooled up and spend some resources. I kind of like it.
Yep. Seems good. All right, and then the last one that we think you should add into your Nemesis pairing is Synchronized Effort. Pick 2 tempered friendly fighters within 4 hexes of each other. Remove those fighters from the battlefield, and then place each in the hex the other was removed from. So this gives you an opportunity to take a fighter that maybe has a higher health characteristic, that's got 2 damage counters on damage tokens on them, and get them out of dodge and replace it with a fighter that you don't care as much about. Let's you move a fighter with a charge token and replace it with one that doesn't, and then you can send a missile in like even further into the backfield. There's a lot of play here. Swapping two fighters around is a big deal.
Yeah, especially tempered fighters. You might have some weapon upgrades out there, just allowing you to leverage a fighter again and again, moving them around.
Yep. All right. Cool. So speaking of upgrades, let's talk about upgrades. God, that was such a good segue.
Man.
So these are the upgrades. We're going to talk about 3 upgrades that we think that you want to see early in the game. This is part of the rivals pairing, what you're looking for in that redraw. And the first one that we want to call out is Parting Shot. So this has the Fearic Strike reaction. Nope, it's not a reaction. The Fearic Strike Surge ability. Immediately after this fighter is slain by an enemy fighter, before removing them from the battlefield, pick an enemy fighter within 2 hexes of them. Give that fighter a stagger token. If this fighter was tempered, before inflicting the damage that would slay them, inflict 1 damage on that fighter. So you throw in, it's got a picture of the monkey attacking, I believe it's Dower Kragan. I don't know the Kagros Ravagers as well. But so the monkey just went in and stabbed Dower Kragan, and then Dower Kragan killed him, and now Kragan is staggered with an extra damage on him. I like it.
Yeah, it's a cool little upgrade costing 1. The next one we're looking for is hopefully Mobbed. So this is a 2 glory cost upgrade. When this fighter attacks, if the target is within 3 hexes of any other friendly fighters, the target is flanked and surrounded for the attack. This is like the ultimate accuracy card, right?
It's so good. And it's got black powder right on the front. It is 2 glory, and that hurts. But I think getting it out early gives you more opportunities to leverage it than if it comes out late. Because if you're a warband like black powder, you're going to have a lot of 2 health fighters, and they could probably be dead by the end of the game.
Yes, and 3 hexes is a pretty substantial space.
Yeah,
and the accuracy it adds is awesome.
Yeah. Yep. And then the next one that we want to look at is Pesky Nuisance. And this is another 2 glory cost, but enemy fighters adjacent to this fighter must target this fighter with any attacks. So that's a good way to, lock a fighter down with, a 1 or 0 bounty fighter that you sent in. You could also put this on a big boy like Black Powder or Kanan and keep your smaller fighters alive.
Yeah, there's a lot of positioning that you'll probably need to do to get value out of this card. But I think it will be very much a nuisance when you learn to utilize it.
Yeah.
So that's it for the Rivals cards. As you start to build out into Nemesis, the first upgrade that I would look for is Lashed Out. And I just think this mechanic is cool, and it can help you fuel your missiles as you send them in. So it is a Surge Thrash. Immediately after this fighter is slain, before removing them from the battlefield, roll a number of save dice equal to the battle round. For each shield, give an enemy fighter within 2 hexes of this fighter a move token. It can, now it's an upgrade, so it is already there, so the opponent knows what they're getting into, so there is some playing around it on their behalf, but that can be to your favor, right? Like you can send somebody in, kind of have them stay there and dictate something different that they have to do than they wanted to do. And if they don't and they attack, you can really disrupt the rest of the turn from charging because they already have move tokens. So I just like that ebb and flow for that upgrade.
I also like that it's not restricted to tempered fighters.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
So, you're getting around that at least. And then the last one that we like is Impervious. And I believe it says, while this fighter is tempered, save rolls for this fighter cannot be affected by Cleave and Ensnare. So, taking away extra accuracy, possibly negating glory spent by your opponent for either a 2 health fighter or a fighter that's got 2 damage characteristics. That a fighter that is in trouble, to say the least.
Yeah.
And that rounds out our card choices. So we'll finish out with the remainder of our standard deck review. We'll talk about playstyle. It's on the box. We think it's accurate. It's a flex deck. In that there's not a single path to victory. There's some killing involved. There's some positioning involved. So not a whole lot of feature token feature. I think just aggressive defender. Everything else is just about being in a place or next to fighters or not next to fighters. But Jason's going to look that up to correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, because there's like behind enemy lines. There's
that's
other
just
ones.
in enemy territory.
Yeah, there's a lot in territories, but it's not necessarily a token.
Yep. Yeah, so some positioning to score and then some killing or damaging to score.
Yeah, but it is still like the flex is nice because it's mostly enemy territory.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it pairs really nicely with pillage.
Yeah, which we'll get to. So boards, yeah. So we said the sundial leaning towards 9s because you're probably going to be a large fighter warband, and that gives you the opportunity to hide more of your fighters. But 5s is fine even on sundial because then you're probably spread out.
And sundial is the one with non-block Texas, right? So
yes, thank you.
And I really like either layout, but I think 9s just puts you more in that mid board. And if you are playing a wider warband or a warband with more fighters, gives you more positioning options. Plus it puts your what I call supporting sturdy hexes, the hexes that's, it's 2 fighters next to each other, puts them more towards the back of the board, which, means less risk to those fighters being together. But you could get away with 5s here as well.
Nice. All right. How do we feel about this deck for new players, Jason?
I think it's a solid silver. Like it depends a lot on warband selection. So it's not one of the decks that you can just kind of pick your favorite warband and put it in there. You can still play it. Like, we're not saying that it has to be played with 2 wound fighter starting 2 wound fighters. You can definitely still play it with your 4 fighters with 4 wounds and just kind of work down. But it takes just a little more work. So therefore, I think there's a little more selection there, and it is a highly positional deck in my opinion. So.
Yeah, there are ploys and upgrades in there that just straight make fighters tempered. So you don't even need to have a health characteristic or damage tokens. We didn't call those out because we kind of think you should pick the warband to fit the deck. So speaking of which, we've called out a couple already. We think Hexbane is a good choice here. The move shenanigans on the dogs are really nice. Zarbag's Gets, another warband chock full of move shenanigans. Also chock full of 2 health fighters. What else, Jason?
Sepulchral Guard.
Move shenanigans.
Move shenanigans. Yeah. I'm really excited to play with Hexbane. And then the one that we covered tonight, Boar Rats. Yeah. Boar Rats Bonanza.
Boar Rats Bonanza. And then you called out a Nemesis pairing already. I'll let you delve into that.
Oh,
if you will.
Yeah, Pillage and Plunder in this, I think Pillage and Plunder, like, I really like that with the delving and getting on feature and treasure tokens. And there's still some pull with that to get it crossed into enemy territory, which pairs well with this. There's some, defensive upgrades in there and weapon upgrades in there. I just think there's enough utility that you can layer into this deck to make yourself a little more survivable. And I just, I've been playing a lot of that deck lately, and I love the delving mechanic, and playing that objective based, feature token, treasure token game.
Nice. Cool. Well, I'm excited for it to get out into the world to see what the rest of the community does with it. I'm excited to see it in your hands with Borat's Bonanza.
There you go. But what do you thought something different? You want to play with something else?
Oh gosh, now I don't remember.
You were Blazing Assault. You want to lay into the other way.
Yeah. So I mean, Blazing Assault is an easy pairing because you can supplement maybe some not as accessible surges in. So the surges in Blazing Assault are pretty straightforward. And then, I mean, Blazing Assault, its biggest problem, of course, is the end phase. And there are some decent 2 Glory end phase cards in this. So, you know, I think you're easily getting into like a 15 Glory, maybe even 16 Glory ceiling with that pairing with some easier to score cards in there. And it just lets you dip into the aggressive nature of it. So the positioning that requires you to be in enemy territory, the positioning that requires, you know, flanks and surroundeds and things can go well there. Plus, you know, it's got great strength and twist the knife and all of those juicy tools that low wound fighters are going to want. So
cool.
Well, I think that's it. So we'll take a break and we'll come back with the outro. And we're back, and that wraps up the 78th episode of the Battle Mallet podcast. As always, we want to say thanks for taking the time to listen. We really appreciate all of those numbers that do absolutely nothing for us, but just make our egos feel better because we know people are listening. So thanks, Mom. We also we have some community shout outs. So some events happening here soon or soon-ish. Warzone Atlanta is happening in Atlanta, and that is next weekend. So this episode is being released on February 1st, February 8th and 9th. Warzone Atlanta Underworlds tournament. And then the Cherokee Open is the February 22nd and 23rd. So that one's like 3 weeks out. And then the What the Hex crew is throwing their Q1 Madtown Throwdown on March 1st in Madison, Wisconsin. So you can check those out if you're local to the area. I know that the What the Hex crew would be thrilled if anybody just made the trek to Madison to play and to meet them. And then here locally, we are kicking off our league this coming Monday. So if you are local to the Raleigh-Durham area, and there has been some confusion, so that includes like Cary, Morrisville, Holly Springs, Fuquay, Wake Forest, anything basically in or around Wake County, I would consider local. Come out to Game Theory Durley Monday night. We'll be kicking off a league. There will be bragging rights and prizes in abundance. A wooden spoon, I'm sure. Anything else to add, Jason?
No, and it's not like we don't have to play on the meetup night, but the way it works is you get more points for playing on the meetup night. But it is open to new players, returning players, anyone that wishes to come out. The way the points are structured, you actually help the normal playing players by coming out and getting more points for them as they teach you and bring you back into Underworld. So everyone come out, join us. Even if you miss a week or two, there is also a catch-up mechanics that keeps it all relevant. And we do have some really cool prizes here to give away throughout the league.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm excited. I think I will probably be able to participate more regularly than I did in the last one. So I'm excited about that. Really just to get games in and try to do something to help our growing community continue to grow. So with that, again, thank you to Games Workshop for sending us the advanced copy of Borgit's Beastgrabbaz and the Edge of the Knife Rivals deck for us to review for our audience. I think that's it for the Battle Mallet podcast. We are two dudes pretending to be a squig. This is Jerod signing out.
Hey, Jerod, what do you call a man who can't stand?
Neil.
Oh, and I'm Jason Table Newberry. Get the hell out of here.
Peace.
I guess go Bills.
The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
A knife is the back here. Oh, messed up.